I'm Dr. Brandy.
I'm Dr. Joe.
And you're in for a
hell of a ride.
Everything life, love, and legacy.
Yes, yes. Buckle up.
Let's ride.
Let's ride.
I'm Dr. Brandy.
I'm Dr. Joe, and
we got a challenge for you.
Yeah, we got a challenge. What we want you to do, because as you watch this episode, we want you to think about some of the issues that you or some of the people in your life have dealt with. And the second part of that is, okay, how are you dealing with that? All right, we want you to put that in the comments below, right? Share with us, right? Because oftentimes, if you're dealing with something, somebody else is. So that's the challenge for you today. Make sure you subscribe, you follow, you hit the notification button, but make sure you comment below and actually do this challenge.
I'm Dr. Brandy.
I'm Dr. Joe.
You're in for
a hell of a ride.
Everything life, love, and legacy. Buckle up.
Let's ride. All right. Okay,
we back.
Yeah, here we go. We're going to jump right into it. Weather report, where you at?
Weather report.
Or should I say, where are you?
Weather report, how am I feeling?
Yeah, weather report. We had an interesting last
episode was tough. Let me think. You know, the calm after the storm. I'm feeling like, I'm chilling. It's like 72 degrees, okay. Partly cloudy.
All right.
The sun is peeking through.
I got you. All right, that's good. I think I'm similar in terms of the storm has calmed, but then I'm like, is there some more coming? What's going on? But at the end of the day, the weather today, a lot better.
That's fine. It's kind of like it's what is it? It's hurricane season.
That's season. What I'm saying.
It's season,
you know. Hurricane season.
But I think what's very fitting for this
Hurricane
episode.
Dr. Brandy. Go ahead.
Okay, be funny if you want to be
Hurricane
funny.
Dr. Joe.
Be funny. But I think also too, like, it's very fitting for this episode because it kind of speaks to how healthy it is to really, in this moment, nothing is wrong. In this moment, the sun is out. I feel fine. And you really got to honor that and hold on to that because so much changes so quickly, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, I won't get on a soapbox about that just yet. What's top of mind, Dr. Joe?
No. Wait. And I'm going to come to top of mind, but you're right. I mean, for example, we smiled, laughed this morning, and then we had to have a conversation about communication, like right away.
Yeah, we do be getting into it all the time, don't we?
I mean, but I think it's typical because one thing that we can agree on is like we communicate, but the thoroughness of our communication isn't always what it should be.
But you know what's funny? Even as you say that, I kind of feel like the thoroughness of our communication is actually really pretty amazing. Like in the bigger picture, because it's like, like it was fine. We was joking. We was laughing. Then we had a issue and it was tense, but then we processed that and then it was over, So it's kind of like, I think like on a microcosmic level.
Here you go.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, we got a lot of work to do. But then on a more magnificent level, it's like, wow, okay, we navigated that though.
Yeah.
Okay, we navigated that. And for me, it's like, okay, I spoke my piece, you listened, you spoke your piece. Okay, fine.
No, I agree. I think don't break glass.
Hydrate. I think that's what it's all about. And I want to normalize that.
Yeah.
I really do want to normalize that and help us all develop discernment around, okay, what exactly is toxic? What needs to be attended to? What needs to be healed? What needs to be remedied? And then what is also just a manifestation of human nature, like human beings?
Yeah, No, because I think we all go in and out, especially in relationships. We all go in and out of, I can't stand them today. Or, I love them. Or I'm hot right now, but I'm all right. It's all good. But right now, I can't stand that. You know what I mean? So I think we in relationships, we go in and out of those things. You know what I mean? Especially when you're in a tense like time of the relationship. And so, yeah.
I'm gonna tell you who I love. My home. She doesn't know we're friends. First Lady Michelle Obama.
Oh, I'm gonna call B in a minute. Just to tell Barack like, hey.
Oh, you gonna call Barack?
Yeah.
Like I love her. Remember? Did you see the clip when she was? I guess this is top of mind. One of the things that's top of mind. Did you see the clip when she was talking about like 10 years of her whole marriage? She didn't even like Barack. I mean, President Obama.
President Barack Obama.
You know, I got to keep it respectful. You know what I'm saying? So, like, and she was like, yo, if out of 40 years, I mean, that's not bad ratio. You know, and then you think of how long it takes to really learn someone. And you think of how, like, as you're learning someone, that person is also changing. So it's like such a continual experience. You know, it's that way with children. You navigate a hard part of their development, and as soon as you kind of got a routine, they changing some more.
That's true.
And then you got to adjust to that.
That's true. That's true. I mean,
as soon as a baby gets a good sleep schedule, all of a sudden they teething.
Yeah.
And they want to mess up the schedule.
Yeah.
It's kind of like human beings are like that.
That's true.
You know?
That's true. And I mean, I think when it's all said and done, like all of us evolve. All of us. I don't necessarily want to say become a different person, but we become a different person, right? As we get older, as we have experiences, as we live this life, as we go through traumas, as we go through whatever it is in relationships, we evolve and hopefully we learn. And hopefully we take the lessons and move forward in a way where we can minimize the amount of times we caused the issue before so we don't do it again in the present day.
That's right.
You know? So that's all we can do, you know? But cool. So top of mind for me is we've talked a lot. Like in the first season, we talked a lot about all kind of stuff. And we talked about ourselves, you know, just a little bit about, you know, how we grew up, some of that. But I think there's a few things that people don't even know. Right. And I think they're interesting.
So what is something that the viewers don't know or maybe wouldn't expect about you?
I think people who don't know me is the first thing is like, and I'm always happy because I love my family. I brag on my family. Like, people know my sister, Shay Johnson. She's been on all kind of reality shows from Flavor of Love, currently Love and Hip Hop Miami, and also my brother.
So yes, this is that Joe. Because in the comments, some people are like, ain't that?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's not MJ. That's not the Joe.
So MJ is my little brother. You know what I mean? And you probably
Put it in reverse.
Yeah, that was that. And which a lot of people don't know. MJ is an amazing singer, an amazing artist. And I'm gonna come to that. I want to back up though, because I want to just like my sister. It's very interesting because when people watch you on television, they think they know you, right? Or they have an idea that they know you. And oftentimes, if you're not in the entertainment industry or you're not connected to it in some way, you don't know that some of the people that you watch and maybe that you don't like, they actually the coolest people outside of that television screen, right? Because people don't understand when you do television, you know, they can kind of edit and make you look away. And a lot of people don't understand that. Now, do some people act the fool? Yes. But even they be cool.
They sometimes be orchestrating stuff too.
Yeah, they be putting on, but
oh, sorry, taking your thing.
You always be trying to take my. But I know, but I'm just talking about my sister. Like my sister Shay. One thing I love about my sister is she don't get credit for her go-getterness enough, and one of the things about her is she's sweet, super sweet, and she at first she'd be like, "Who are you? I don't really know you like that." But once you get to know her, she's sweet. And I think, like everybody, she's been through things that a lot of us don't know she's been through, just like we've been through stuff. And, you know, I think sometimes we can't place what we think an individual is like before you get to know them deeply, right? So I just got to say I love my sister Shay, right? So that's my sister. Then my brother MJ.
Well, can I weigh in?
Okay. Too. Go ahead.
Because to your point, everybody has a story. We didn't just get here. Like there's a journey to here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that influence our not right now.
Yep.
And you got to give people credit for that. But to your point about kind of her spirit, like how she's such just a chip. First of all, she's hilarious. And she's a really sweet person. She's a very sensitive person.
Very.
That's a part of what it is. That she's very sensitive. But I really want to shout out Healthy Hand because I think her brand is really about the public persona, but her like passion, like her life's work is really around the Healthy Hand.
Health and wellness.
Yeah, it's really the Healthy Hand. So I just want to shout out to the Healthy Hand.
Yeah, and I know she talks heavily about fibroids.
Yes, right? And fibroid awareness.
And just making sure that women and men know what that is. Because I ain't gonna lie, I had no idea what it was until she talked about it.
Yeah, right? That's real.
So shout out to my sister Shay, my brother, MJ. And I know we got strong genes. My family, we got strong genes because even my little niece. What up, Jaya? Right, my sister's daughter. She looked like us, right? We got some strong genes. But I was telling you earlier, like my brother MJ. MJ has been singing for a long time, and one of the things that I share with MJ so often is like, yo, you got to tap back into that gift, right? Because when you have a gift and you don't nurture the gift, you can lose the gift.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the things about him is he just hit me up a couple weeks ago, like, yo, send me that music. Man, I got so many songs. I probably got like 30, 40 of his songs just from like years of him doing music. And, you know, I think one of the things that I want to make sure to say publicly is that sometimes the persona that you see of an individual, and specifically talking about my brother, once again, is not what you think it is, and you got to get to know him. And one thing about my brother, he's super sweet, right? I be telling him, no, hey, I be checking him sometimes. I ain't gonna lie, because I'm big bro. But at the end of the day, I really want my brother to tap back into that gift, because I used to hate on him when he was young. Like, bro, you cannot sing.
No, he can sing.
But then he got serious.
Some bangers. Like, you make me want to listen to some preach.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I got them all.
Joe used to listen to that. Little Joe used to listen to that on repeat. That was my jam.
Yeah.
And smoking section, that's my jam. I'm about to have me a little turn up later on some MJ music.
Yeah. So shout out to my bro.
Just made an awareness. All of y'all sensitive. That's really what it is.
Well, maybe. Well, okay.
I don't think that's a bad thing. It's just an observation.
Ain't nothing wrong with being sensitive. I think, it's okay to be sensitive.
No, yeah, and I don't mean it in a degrading way.
Right,
I mean it more like in and this fits with the episode today. Yeah. I think that when we have because I'm very sensitive, when we have a tenderness in us, we develop habits and we develop methods to protect ourselves.
Yeah, for sure.
And then people make judgments about us based upon our protection, like how we protect ourselves. Yeah. Like whether somebody becomes super obnoxious and they're humorous all the time, and then they get a reputation for being obnoxious or a goof, that could be a deflection because they're actually really kind and really, or someone that's popping off all the time, it could be because they constantly feel harmed or threatened or, Yeah,
no, for sure.
Anyway.
No, that's real. That's real. So, lastly, since I closed out and made sure to, because I have to make it a habit now of telling people that I love them, because sometimes we don't hear it enough, right? Mm-hmm. And so, to my little bro, I love you. And I mean, think about it. Like, this dude ended up going on tour with one of the biggest Latin artists in the world, ended up learning Spanish, doing songs in Spanish, so my brother could sing in English and Spanish, R&B and bachata. Man, please. So anyways, shout out to my brother, MJ. Love you, bro. My mom and daddy got to give him some love. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. If it wasn't for them getting it in on that Tuesday at about 5. No, I'm just playing. I don't even know if that was the time.
Here you go. If it wasn't for them smashing.
No, but shout out to my mom and daddy. I love y'all. And last thing I just want to make sure folks know is, like, I come from playing ball, right? And a lot of people don't know that I played ball, high school, college, had the opportunity to work out in front of some NFL teams. That didn't work. And so, my identity at one point was caught up in me being an athlete, and I had to get rid of that identity because I was more than just an athlete. But when you don't come from like a whole lot. Sometimes becoming a pro is your way to like handle things, take care of people you love, all that fun stuff. And when that didn't happen, I mean, it really messes with your brain. But, you know, for all the athletes out there, I just want you to understand there is power in understanding that you are more than the sport that you play. All right. And if you take those skills that you learned in the sport that you play and you transfer them into the game of life, you can win. But some of us forget that we have the skills and we just haven't transferred them yet. So for all the athletes out there, and I still stay in shape, your boy still.
You're in the best shape. You're in the best shape of your life in a way.
Well,
don't you think?
Actually, I weigh just as much as I weighed coming out of high school now. Like when I finished playing football, I was like, I think 227. I'm at like 184 now.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking real good.
Thank you.
And the
Thank
salt
you.
and pepper juice.
Thank you. I died. I told you this. I dyed my beard.
Yeah, okay. Don't start rumors.
No, I'm messing with you. But anyways.
But wait, so some of what people don't know is obviously the connection to your family in that way, but then also that you were an athlete. And aren't you in like a Hall of Fame or something? Isn't it like a
our team in college got put into our school's Hall of Fame, which is cool. We had, people go to the NFL, all kind of stuff. And so shout out to my homeboy, Glenn Martinez. Shout out to my homeboy. That's all of them. If you went to the league because we played D2 and we didn't go Division I, and a lot of people think you got to go Division I. But my boy Glenn Martinez, Ravel Martin, and it was several other people. Todd, our lineman, Big Todd.
So
we was ranked number 1 in the nation. You know what I'm saying?
Number 1 in the nation, D2.
And I was up for I had transferred there, but I was up for what's equivalent to the Heisman Trophy for Division II, which is called the Harlan Hill. And that was fun. The problem is, I think that I loved basketball. I didn't love football.
Right.
Therefore, for me to go to the NFL, you got to love football to go to the NFL. That's why you have some people that get there and they like, I'm done. I don't want to. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So, anyways, shout out to my athletes. And stay at it, right? Take care of your body, your mind, your soul, because after a while, working out isn't for the physical look, it's for the mental, and the physical is a byproduct. Very,
very true. So you thought that being a professional athlete was your path to success, but what you found is that it wasn't your purpose.
Wasn't my purpose.
That's what's up.
Come on now. Come on, Pastor.
Okay. I'll go with Doc.
Okay, Doc. Dr. Pastor. No.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So what about you? What folks don't know about you?
Well, before there was Beyonce. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, God.
I'm so kidding. No, I think there's a couple of things. I think last season I did talk about my mom, so people know that. Uh-huh. I think something people don't really know about me is that I am the oldest of 4.
Wait, real quick. Just in case, because you just breezed through, you talked about your mom. I think it's very important because I don't think people understand, your mom passed away when you were 10 years old.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily like you had a whole lot of time with your mom. Okay.
No. And if you're interested in that part of it, please watch season 1.
Yeah, watch season 1.
Please.
Yeah.
Watch season 1.
You'll hear about it.
You can even DM us and I'll send you the link.
There you go.
How about that? So we'll make it easy, but because I don't want to be redundant about it. But yeah, that is a significant part of my story. My mother passing at 10. She was a very young mother, 27, and I was 10 when she died. But what a lot of people don't know, and what I didn't know for a portion of my life, was that I am the oldest of 4 girls. So I have 3 younger sisters. I grew up with one. The youngest 2, my mother birthed and she put up for adoption. I have reunited with those sisters and I know who they are and I know them, and those relationships have ebbed and flowed and all that. But so I think that's something a lot of people don't know.
But there's somebody probably dealing with similar.
Oh man, I'm realizing how popular of a story that is. People, especially with Ancestry and the whole where you can find your cousins and you. I mean, so many people are finding siblings and parents.
Yeah. Somebody just said they was on a dating app and swiped right and met their long lost sister.
You know what I'm saying?
I was
this
dang.
is a common thing for people. So
So you might be you might be smashing your cousin. No, I'm just kidding. But be careful because you really gotta, you know.
Well, it even connects to some of what we were saying in the last episode around like how some of the choices we make today come out 20, 25 years later. Yeah. Not just around sexual assault and stuff, but like, hey, the baby daddy is Jim from Two Doors Down, you know.
They just never told you that.
You know what I'm saying? And that is a significant part. Yeah. And then, you know, I think another part of that story that some people don't know, well, people close to me do, but, you know, I have a man in my life that is my father, but he's my godfather. So to this day, I don't know who my biological father is. So I think that matters. And then to my earlier point about Beyonce, there was a time where I really thought I was going to have a musical career. I went on tour.
Listen, I saw pictures where you thought you was Diana Ross and all kind of stuff when you was little. It was hilarious.
I'm half joking, but I did. When I was 17 years old, I was the youngest member of this choir. It was like a classical. We sung in Latin. We sang folk songs. I mean, we wore these really corny little outfits. But I was the youngest member of this group. I was like 17. Everybody else was in their 30s. And 40s, and we did a tour in Europe for like a couple of weeks. I was so homesick.
Did you lead any of the songs?
No, I didn't lead. It was all kind of a choir thing. Okay. But yeah.
But you was feeling it. You thought, because I was the youngest, I'm me.
You know what? At the time, actually, it's so funny you say that. It was a great experience for me that I value now, and obviously I'm talking about it. But at that time, it was actually a very isolating experience. It was very kind of an intimidating experience because there was only like one other black person in the choir.
Oh, so y'all was singing like, oh,
yes,
Jesus,
we were doing like folk songs and all kind of stuff. Okay. Yeah. So it was really kind of like, I'm trying to go to the crib. I remember we were in Denmark, and they said we was going to a barbecue. I was like, bet. It wasn't the kind of barbecues I'm used to.
They had carrots.
It was like raw fish. And at the time, you know, my palate is a little more mature now. Yeah. But back then, to see a fish with the head on it, and it was like...
That's true.
It was no barbecue sauce.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like, this ain't no barbecue.
You can't tell no black person you going to a barbecue and you ain't got no barbecue sauce, no hot sauce, no, come on now.
But those are the experiences, uncomfortable as it may have been at times in that time, those are the experiences that culture you, that mature your mind, that grow you. Yeah. Doing that, it was nothing for me 10 years later. It was nothing for me to go to Africa by myself for a month. Because that's what and people were like, you're going to do, I mean, I've already done this in a way. It's not as intimidating. So those are some things that people don't know.
Okay. It's funny. Because I remember I used to make fun of you when, you know, you was like, I don't know my biological father. And I was like, yeah, you mixed.
I know. You used to say that all the time.
You black and white, you know? You biracial. Well, and you like, no, I'm a black woman. And you're like, all right. But we don't know.
But I did the ancestry and I still can't find them. But it did say I was like Nigerian and Cameroon and something and Mali. Something.
You own the Malis.
I'm just kidding.
No, I'm just kidding.
That's a clip. That can't be a clip. You starting rumors.
I'm just kidding.
I can't have the ethics board coming for me. That's not true. That's not true.
I'm Nigerian, Cameroon. I'm on Mali. You try to slide that in there. Nah, she ain't on the Mali. Just kidding you. But yeah, that's interesting though, because you know, and shout out to my father-in-law, Reggie. Man, that's a cold brother. That's
that guy right there.
Businessman. Just a great dude. One of the nicest dudes I think I ever met, and it's always love for him. So shout out to him. And they did a big article on him in Detroit, him and his god-kids. I remember that article.
That article is how I found one of my sisters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole story too.
Yeah.
That's how I found one of the sisters. We did a front page article, Father's Day 2005. Because he has several godkids, and he's just really shown up for us in ways that our biological fathers couldn't or didn't. Yeah. And my biological sister's adoptive mother read it, and the connection was made, and that's how we got connected. And that particular sister was in our wedding.
Yep. True. It's a lot. It's a
Man, people got stories to tell.
It's a lot. And
Stories to tell.
And I think, like, you know, the thing is, you know, sometimes people, they feel like they don't have family because they're not close to their blood family. Right. And in reality, the people who may not be blood are just as close to them that they would like their blood family to be. Right. And so when I think of, you know, when I first met you and then met Reggie, and it was just like, oh, this is your family. Like, you call them dad. Like the family reunions, like JoJo and Carter call him granddaddy. Like, there's no, I mean, it's family. Like, there's no way I could ever be like, who is this? You know what I mean? Like, you can't.
It's so funny to where sometimes you kind of forget, because my dad has at times said things like, you know how you say, like, that's my blood running through them veins.
Yeah.
He'll say that and we'll be like, well, not really, but you know, like, you just kind of even forget.
But the even, and we don't have to go into this, but even, you know, sitting down with him and just talking to him about your mom and the history, because he knew your mom and all that, is just like, man, you've been around for forever.
My whole life. I don't know when I met him.
Yeah.
He's been around my whole life.
Yep.
Yeah, been there my whole life. He came to my piano recitals. I mean, he comes to he does everything.
The recital where the man called you an idiot or something?
I know. I had to quit. That's traumatizing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, could you play?
I was working on it. I got stuck on Beauty and the Beast. And he was like, what's wrong with you?
You was playing like ding, ding, ding,
don't
ding.
do that. Yeah, don't do that.
Did you even have your hands planted?
Let me be intermediate.
Now, you was that beginner.
Maybe. That is something on my bucket list, though. I wanna get back to the piano. Yeah. I want that to be a new hobby in this era of my life.
Well, let's make it happen. Make it happen.
Yeah, let's make it happen. I mean, I think telling these stories around, like, what people might not know about us, it really amplifies. Like, there's people don't know I was kidnapped. Did I ever tell that story?
Was this Arizona or Texas?
Nah, this was in Pontiac, Michigan. I was kidnapped when I was 4 years old. They
when they took the car?
Yeah, somebody tried to steal the car.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't realize I was in the back seat, and they dropped me off, and I was just stranded for a little while. And then I got to ride in the front of the police car.
First off, I would never glorify riding in no police
I wasn't.
car. I know,
I'm
talking crazy.
I know. See the trauma. No, I know, but like, those are just stories that experiences that really that could have went a very different way.
No,
with the way life is now with sex trafficking, and man, we have all endured so many things. Mm-hmm. And I think it's actually a blessing to be able to sit here and tell these stories in kind of a lighthearted fashion.
Yeah.
In a genuinely lighthearted fashion.
Right.
Like, I don't feel any trauma about this kidnapping, if you will.
Yeah.
Because I was like 5 and I'm safe and I got taken care of. Mm-hmm. But yeah, everybody has a lot of stories. And I think, to segue a little bit, a part of what has been top of mind too was, you know, what a difference a day can make, or what a difference a conversation can make, because our last episode was a very intense episode.
Yeah.
And I think the anchor of it was us really being vulnerable and transparent about the impact of some of the ways in which our relationship has ebbed and flowed. But I think bigger picture, it would really be useful, because this is life, love, and legacy. And it's also about health and wellness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how you take care of yourself, especially in this era when there's so much trauma. I don't know anybody that hasn't endured any trauma.
Yeah.
And there's so much suffering.
But I think, to your point, when you talk about so much trauma, so much suffering, it gets to a point where you've gone through so many things and you've been through so much. It's almost like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be, right?
It's normalized.
It's normalized. And it gets to a point where if you don't have chaos at times, you figure out a way to create it.
Yo, now that's a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a thing. So many people are looking for, I can't remember if I said this in a public space, on the podcast or whatever, but like, so many people want to feel better, but they don't recognize that to live better, to be better, is a really hard thing to do. Like we kind of glorify it. Like I'm always like, get your healing. Like, yeah. And there's a lot of benefits to it, but it really, you always say this. You always say you have to unlearn and relearn. It's almost like you got to demolish. Like you got to demo that thing and like really rebuild. You can't just keep patching things up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a difficult thing.
Very difficult because it's painful, it's hurtful, it's scary, it's tiresome. Like you get to a point where you just like, I'm sick of this. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm sick of feeling like this, or I'm sick of thinking about that, or I'm sick. You just get tired. You know what I mean? And so the work is the work, and you can't get around the work.
Yeah. I think there's like 3 domains, or maybe actually 4 domains of suffering or trauma that people are navigating, that I'm observing and that I've navigated too. One of them is intergenerational. Mm-hmm. It's like what's passed down to you.
Yeah.
The other one is systemic and global. It's like a collective trauma, right? You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you.
You know, hence Black Lives Matter, hence what's going on with Israel right now.
Right.
That kind
it don't have to happen to you, but it's happening.
It's just happening around you, and it's happening to your people. So it's kind of like it is happening to you.
Yeah.
I think the other one is what some would call like, I think what some would call little t. So like very situation specific or very personal.
Right.
Like divorce or like, getting laid off or something like that.
Or a change in location.
Or whatever.
Which little t is little trauma.
Yes, little trauma.
Yeah. And
then I think, maybe there's 3. Maybe those are the 3 main ones.
Those are the 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
That I'm observing and that I've experienced too.
Yeah, yeah. And I think we've all in some capacity have. And I think one of the biggest things that, and we could do a whole episode. We keep talking about this, but we haven't done an episode on like racism, sexism. You know what I'm saying? We keep playing, and we got to do an episode on that. But I think the reality is, and you see what's happening in the United States. Like they're trying to change language, take certain information out of schools and all that. But I think when you really understand history, when you understand that if you grew up in the United States, traditional education did not prepare you to understand the world that we live in.
True.
Right? Because it was dominated, the creation of the education system was dominated by white male Eurocentric point of view.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then
Pastor, you better preach.
It's doctor.
I mean, you bringing it. You better let them know.
But the reality that I think I had to come to terms with is if you grew up in the United States and you went to school in the United States, your understanding of history will not allow you to understand what's happening in the present, right? Because if you go and read outside of what they give to you in traditional education, you'll see everything that's going on now has happened already.
Right.
Right. And what happens is you begin to get frustrated because what I see is a lot of people are doing the work. They're fighting for rights. They're fighting for policy change. They're fighting to do everything. And then they're like, all they do is change the policy and make a policy to make another policy
and then
to bring it right back to what it already was.
Right. And the people that hated that policy in the next cycle of the governmental change, they just gonna go mess it up.
And then it like burns your spirit to keep fighting for what's right. And so I always, ask people to consider like, go read and learn history, what really happened, right? A lot of people don't know about the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. They don't know that California, New Mexico, all of that down there, that's the United States now, that was Mexico. They don't know that, right? Because they've never looked at a map historically to see when the Treaty of Guadalupe happened, the United States got part of Mexico.
There you go.
Right? A lot of people don't know about the Chinese Exclusion Act, and how
that disenfranchises people so much.
Big time.
And then you got the nerve to be like, go to your country.
Exactly. But it's stuff that's happened, right? Like I was saying, the Chinese Exclusion Act, where they had our Chinese brothers and sisters build the railroads on the West Coast. And as soon as they were done building the railroads, they kicked them out and only allowed 100 of our Chinese brothers and sisters into the United States per year.
See.
Right? So what happens is the United States used folks, they finished, kicked them out, and then only let a certain amount. And so these are things that a lot of people, they don't think about and they don't understand. And I can give you more and more and more, but the problem is like, it's so deep.
And then wait, just to what you're saying, and then create a law that if you go against the way in which I've inhibited your entry, now you're breaking the law.
Yeah.
And then you've got a subset of people that will say things like, well, it's not right to break, it's not right to break the law because you don't understand that
you don't get it. People don't get it, right? People don't understand. And I'm just going to say this and we'll move on. But like, people don't understand how powerful, like Malcolm X, MLK, them were some powerful brothers, right?
Yeah.
When you're ready to put your life on the line, right, for something you believe in, oh my goodness. They had to, listen, if you go back and read MLK specifically, right? MLK, a lot of people don't know that in 1958, he was stabbed by a woman who had mental health issues, right? A lot of people don't know that MLK, he started to change his message from nonviolent, but he started to change his message when he began to see what was happening with money, with the poorest people, I think it's the poor people movement, right? His speeches were changing. So what he was talking about, and he was actually uniting all people, black, white, our brown brothers, right? And people don't understand. So when people think MLK, all they think is like, oh yeah,
I have a dream.
They never loved MLK. You know what I'm saying? The United States, they never loved MLK, but now he get a day, right? And then you can go into history and see that the King family actually won a lawsuit, right, in the early 90s, that the United States had something to do with his murder and his assassination, right? And so,
but people don't know that.
People don't know that, right? But
and then it's considered a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, and you could actually look it up if you actually do some work, right?
Yeah.
You can see it. So I'm saying all that to say, like, look how much is connected to wellness and mental health, right? In terms of like, these are historical points that I'm giving you, but imagine how that's impacted people and how their mental health has been impacted historically.
How do you think it's impacted you, personally? Like what, like on a real tangible, like day-to-day basis? Like how does that?
No problem. You ready?
Yeah.
No problem. Like, what's unfortunate and fortunate is I don't remember a time where my mama never said, she used to say, this is a white man's world, but you could be anything and do anything that you want. And I used to be like, what is she talking about? Right? Because I was young. And when I got in high school, it clicked. Like, my mother was preparing me for life because she knew that I would have to deal with things racially, and she had to just keep pumping in my head, like, you can do what you want to do, right? And so for me, when I think about that, everything my mom told me in terms of how this world operated for me being a black man, I can't help but I'm watching my back. I get nervous. I'm not doing nothing, but I still get nervous if I hear the police. You know what I'm saying?
You ain't even doing nothing wrong, but you're nervous.
Nothing wrong. Hands start sweating, right? All that. And I think because of the history that I know about law enforcement, right? Because a lot of people don't know that law enforcement began with, they were catching slaves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But when I think about all of that, and then I think about how I look as a black man, even though I'm educated, right? I have a PhD, but also have tattoos and I'm black. I can't remove my black skin, right? I always think about how I'm watching my back. I'm being mindful who's around me. I'm being mindful how I move. So I have this hypersensitive orientation to the world.
I got you.
And I think I'm giving it to my sons because now I'm telling them, hey, you black, don't forget. And you got to move like this. You got to know. People look at you like, you know what I'm saying? And I hate that I got to do that.
And it's tricky. You want to amplify. I'm always saying this. You really want to amplify empathy for the lived experience of people, because the tension is, because this is then where a part of the intergenerational trauma comes in. Because the tension is, the tension for every parent is, I want to preserve the purity of my child. I don't want them to adopt my anxiety.
Yeah.
But then the other part of it is, but I also want you to be conscientious. I also don't want you to be naive and super exposed in the world.
Yeah.
And then the global part of the issue around sexism, racism, heterosexism, is that, but that's not solely my responsibility. That's a collective responsibility. I wouldn't have to coach my black sons in this way if I could be assured that they weren't going to get killed by law enforcement. Then I wouldn't have to do that. So that's not just my responsibility. That's also yours.
Yep. And what's unfortunate about it, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No,
but what's
it's fine.
unfortunate about it is I do know folks who are in law enforcement that are cool as hell.
Right.
But the overall
You're
experience,
talking about a system.
right? The overall experiences I've had and that I see, it's hard to be like, hey, right? I got a homeboy who was in law enforcement, and he said, "Man, I got to get out of this. This is some racist ass shit."
Yeah.
You know, and he always wanted to be in law enforcement, and I was like, "Dang, that's messed up. That's something that you always wanted to do. You finally get there, but the experience that you've had made you say, you know what? I can't do this no more."
That's deep.
Yeah.
That your passion is almost engulfed in trauma.
Yeah.
Like the trauma and the racism robbed him of something where he could have really made a good contribution.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and then like to the point that you're making about how, see, we in the mental health arena, we're always talking about symptomology. And that is really a superficial way of attending to health and wellness. It's very superficial. Like, so we're always talking about depression. We're always talking about anxiety. And I'm not suggesting that we don't talk about that, but what you're describing is how this global experience as a Black man has influenced you as a Black man, and how that is then manifest into a hypervigilant or a trauma response, PTSD. Yeah. Hypervigilance is a form of PTSD, is a aspect or component of PTSD.
Oh, shut up. Who you talking? No, I'm messing with you. Look, I'm in the gym by myself. Listen, I know some of you all have some goals. Some of you all feel like you've been stuck. Some of y'all feel like you're ready to go to your next level. And if you're ready to do that, make sure you go to purposeoverdreams.com. I have a free resource for you, and you'll gain access to my masterclass. Take care.
So then you were talking about PTSD.
It's just unfortunate how, like, and it really goes to show how when we overemphasize focus on symptomology, we miss the point. How a global experience can entice and ignite a trauma that then infiltrates a family and is passed down generation to generation to an individual that then, in order to take care of themselves and protect themselves, become hypervigilant. Hypervigilance, having your head on swivel, being kind of, you said my hands get kind of sweaty sometimes. I'm anxious, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Anxiousness, physiologically, hypervigilance, these are all aspects of PTSD.
Yeah.
This is how this stuff comes. It's not just like, oh, that person has mental health issues. That person is a human being that has lived in an oppressive society.
For sure.
And it has jacked them up on some level, you know?
No, I agree.
Or really impacted them. And that's how that stuff kind of manifests.
Yeah, and I know one of the other terms that I think people should become familiar with, because PTSD, and I think people hear that a lot, but PTSD is post-traumatic stress syndrome, right?
Yeah.
And
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
PTSD, sorry. And then a lot of people don't understand CTSD, right? Which is the continuous traumatic stress disorder, right? And, you know, I think one of the ways to describe that is when something continuously happens, and you kind of talked about it in a way, something continuously happens to you where people that look like you, like that trauma stays there, right?
Yes.
So even when it's not you, you feel it.
Yes.
Right. And that's unfortunate, because one of the things that I am seeing with a lot of people is the desensitization to seeing people get shot. Like you see videos on social media, seeing people get killed, seeing people like we're becoming so desensitized, or shall I say sensitized?
Yeah, desensitized.
Desensitized to these things that it's almost just like, oh, well, here we go again, and another one, right? And man, that's unfortunate.
And do you know how consequential that is to intimacy, vulnerability, and relationships? Now you're, because then the manifestation of that is you're desensitized, which is a trauma response. You disconnect or you detach, right? Or disassociate to a degree, or you kind of habituated to something. And then you're not as intimately connected to emotion. So it's hard to kind of like, it really kills empathy.
Okay, so
it really can kill empathy.
Which, you know, talking health and wellness, and you know, let's bring it to like relationships or trying to find the person for your soulmate or whoever. Like, imagine going through so many traumatic like relationships where like I thought I had the one and then it didn't work, and then you have the one, but you're so messed up in the head you can't see it and you can't even give your all to create that connection. You know what I mean? And I think that happens to a lot of us where, because I know, I mean, and I'll just bring it to me. Like, I know I've said before, like, if I ever am not married, I'll never get married again. Like, I've said that before, right? And to be honest, I don't think you don't know what you're going to do in the future. You never know, right? But I think that comes from, just things that you've been through.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
really does.
Yeah.
Like we start to figure out, I mean, the natural kind of human orientation to certain things, we're mammals, is to like protect yourself.
Yeah.
So we do that. But I think our wisdom allows us to, like, I always say this in therapy, like intervene on your own behalf so that you can align your beliefs, your values, your words, and your behaviors. And so that it can be in alignment with what you most desire.
Yeah.
And so you got to intervene. It's like, okay, am I reacting to this from a place of trauma? Am I reacting to this from a place of fear? Like, how is this serving me? Like, or do I need to like pivot and have a different response or a different reaction? I mean, I have to coach myself and trying to learn how to do this every day. It's not like an easy thing to do.
Hell no, it's not.
No, it's not an easy thing to do.
No. And
So-
and like, okay, so because what I keep thinking about is how a lot of us, we get information on what to do, right? Like, we're telling people like what can happen or what we should do or be mindful of this. But how do we actually do it? I think that's always the question. You know what I'm saying? How do we actually, okay, I know I need to do A, B, and C, but I'm so hurt and stuck. Like, what is it that gets us over the hump? Is it our own will? Is it our own courage? Is it our own, like, what do you think it is?
Oh, I think it's a combination of things. I don't know. I think it's a combination of things. I think that, well, number one, I think it's important to manage and redefine your own expectations.
Okay.
Because I think sometimes we think, I got to get my life together so that I can be happy. But your orientation to happiness has to be an appropriate expectation. Happiness is fleeting no matter how healthy you are. Healthiness isn't a perpetual state of existence. It is a fleeting thing. It's kind of something that comes and goes. Like, you only know happiness because you know sadness. Like, you're not going to be able to sustain always being that way. So I do think we have to manage our expectations because we're talking about health and wellness, and we're talking about, and I have to talk about therapy. People come to therapy and they're dissatisfied with their life, and there's this unintended expectation. Like, if you help me, then that means I'm going to feel better and everything's going to be good.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. It could mean that your distress tolerance is improved. It could mean that you have greater range in your ability to manage your emotions. It could mean that you're more secure. It could mean that you're more confident. But people still gonna piss you off. You still gonna get in an argument from time to time. Your boss still gonna get on your nerves. But guess what? You're able to respond better. Maybe where you used to really feel like, because something happened at work, now you feel like you're incompetent. Now you're just frustrated.
Yeah.
That's actually success.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
now it's not penetrating your soul.
Yeah.
So I do think you have to change your expectations
Okay.
around what it working looks like,
Well,
or what health looks like.
okay, so I love that example because it's a very specific example. And at the same time, some people don't know how to honor and praise small wins.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's a part of the trauma.
Right. And
I
so
think.
when we talk about I need to get my life together, I think getting our life together means I have the relationship, the money, the home, the car, the this. When getting your life together means, you know what? I was sleeping 15 hours a day because I was depressed, but now I'm up in the morning and I'm getting, that's a win.
That is a win.
That's a win.
Right?
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I think if we begin to understand like baby steps are okay, right? Crawl, right? What is it? You crawl and then you walk and then you run, right? And then you fly. And so like I think anybody that's dealing with any type of mental health issue, you feel like your life isn't where it is, you feel like you've been going through it and the last few years you just can't get yourself together. Let me tell you something. If you really break things down and you're trying to do the work, look at the little small wins and the baby steps and praise yourself and be okay and know that it's going to take time, but you're moving in the right direction.
And life is dynamic.
Yeah.
I think a big part of having a life that has that's fulfilling and that holds joy, not just happiness, but like contentment or joy.
Yeah.
I think a part of it is, what is the serenity prayer? Accepting the things you cannot change, the wisdom to know the difference. Like, that's a part of it. So much of people's distress, so much of our distress is connected to unconscious expectations we have of other people. Like I'm so depressed because my sister won't do this or my brother won't do this.
Yeah.
I can't control you. So I'm depressed because I can't control your life. Like, it's a very hard thing.
Oh, it's hard because that means you love.
Influence. Well, because it's influence too.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
there's ripple effect. Every reaction bears a reaction. The things that I do is gonna impact you.
Yeah.
So of course, if I do something, I mean, we just had a whole episode about it. If I do something that harms you, it's gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
But so I think this is why this is hard for most people.
Yeah, and if we don't, at least mention this part, right, which I think is important, because one of the things that I think I was reading is that suicide is up for men, black men, specifically black and brown men, I think.
Black and brown
men.
And kids.
And kids and but just suicide in general. Like, I think there's some people who they really feel like they don't want to be here no more, right? They feel like nothing they do can help them be a better person, right? They just feel like my life is over, right? And all I would say, and it's not as simple as this, but right, everybody needs somebody. And if someone commits suicide, it's not only killing themselves.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And
it's kind of like
that ripple effect.
Relationship.
It's them, and then the people that's impacted by them, and right, like there's a ripple effect there. And yes, it's hard to think about that when you're so like you're dealing with so much, and you have these suicidal thoughts. But I just hope that for anybody that feels like your time on this earth physically is up, just know that somebody needs you. You know what I mean? Somebody needs you. And too often we don't understand that people are watching us that we don't know are watching us. And every little move, right, that we make, someone is paying attention to. And you may not know that person. They may just watch you on social media. They may see you in the neighborhood. They may just even heard of you.
Right.
Right? But somebody needs you.
I think that's really powerful, because on one side of it, it can elicit a pressure or a sense of responsibility. But I think the other side of it is it can really elicit value. Like that, without even having someone know you in an intimate way, you have influence over them.
Yeah.
It's like, how beautifully powerful is just your presence, your persona, the imagery alone.
Yeah.
And I think if people can allow themselves to consider that as enough.
Yeah.
Like, because even when you said people need you, Joe didn't say they need you to do something.
Yeah.
It's just your existence matters.
Yeah.
Like, just don't ever forget that your existence matters. And I think we live in a culture where we're forgetting that alone is just enough.
Yeah.
Like, it's just enough. So yeah, I think people, and again, we talk like the symptomology of it, like helplessness and hopelessness is hard to have that when you're in it.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the things I'm always talking about is intervene on your own behalf, choosing to do the thing in opposition to how you feel based upon what you know. I know that like right now, I feel like shit. Nothing's going right for me. Nobody loves me. I'm not happy.
Yeah.
This is how I'm feeling. But what I know is that tomorrow's another day. It could be just as simple as that. Tomorrow's just another day. Or I know that, it could be anything. I'm trying to think of the most trivial thing, because on some level I could say, I know that there are people that love me. There are people in the world that don't feel like anybody loves them.
Yeah.
So that might not be your affirmation. Your affirmation might have to be something else.
No, that's real. I mean,
it might just have to be something else.
yeah. And like, to your point, so many people are, they're kind of stuck between hope and hurt.
Right.
And they're in this middle part where they just can't figure it out. And sometimes the hurt kind of pulls them, stronger than the hope does, right? And, at the end of the day, I think I heard somebody say your absence and your presence means something to somebody.
Yes, that's so powerful.
And so, man, it gets real out here.
That's so powerful. I think one of the things I do want to bring up before we conclude this episode is I'm always talking about the habits.
Yeah.
Because mental health, whole health. Whole health is the physical, the mental, the financial, the spiritual, interpersonal, intrapersonal. Okay. So when we talk about whole health, like the wholeness of a human being, not just your mental health, but your whole health, because it's all interconnected, the whole mind, body, soul thing. That if we think of it only symptomology and only feelings, that's superficial.
Yeah.
It's also just habits. Like, I can't tell you how often I work with people and even watch myself. And if the feeling is one of I'm depressed, but then I hear the way you live your life, I'm like, yeah, you're living a depressive life though. Like if all you eat is food and like real with high fat content, that's going to like make you feel like bloated and kind of gluttonous and just lethargic. Yeah, you think you're depressed, but that's because that's the diet you have. Like that's really, so you really might not be really depressed. You might just be highly malnourished, or thyroid issues. Okay, so when was the last time you had a checkup? Oh, I ain't got time for that. Too many people need me. My kids need me. My husband needs me. I've got too much going on. Work is so busy. I do need to get a checkup. It's been 4 years. You could have a thyroid problem.
Thyroid or fibroid?
Or thyroid.
Because
thyroid will create depressive symptoms if you have an enlarged thyroid. So stuff like that. Or, or people that will come and say, I'm so depressed. And then I say, well, what's been happening? Well, 4 people in their life that they love have died in the last year. Well, that's depressing. Like you're normal.
Yep.
Like that's depressing.
Yeah.
Like I can't, to fix that would be in opposition to your humanity. What we have to do is help you grieve and develop your tolerance for how long it might take to do that.
Yeah.
And create and orchestrate a lifestyle that gives you enough room to be able to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pathologize what seems very human. As a matter of fact, the suffering you're feeling is a gift to you. It is a manifestation of how deeply you loved.
Yeah.
You have 4 people in your life that matter that much. Of course, you're gonna be out of it for a while.
Yeah. Which is if you didn't feel a way, I'd be like, psychopath over here? No.
Like, who are you? But we glorify that. Oh, she's so strong. She can still do it all,
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
And that's not, as amazing as we make it sound with, oh, they're so strong, or man, they've dealt with so much. Part of it, if you really start to think about health and wellness and the individuals, part of it is asking yourself, did they do what's necessary to take care of themselves? Or is that just like this mass to be like, oh, I'm all right, I gotta be this way. In reality, you don't have to be that way right now.
But the racism and the sexism,
all of it
is
matters.
conditioned us to think that we do.
Yeah.
Because it's the only way to kind of survive.
And it's been destructive because basically we're decaying from the inside out.
You better say it again.
We're decaying from the inside out.
It's true.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. But this is what's kind of really cool about kind of what we're talking about, I think, though, because I have found that when we can come to terms with like managing expectations around what it means to live well.
Yeah.
When we intervene on our habits that are health compromising and choose habits that are health orienting, which is a very hard thing to do. I'm struggling with this right now around the sweets and my cocktails sometimes. So I think this is a hard thing to do. I don't want to make this seem easy, but I think when you're able to do that, manage expectations, intervene on your habits, and kind of have a different orientation to symptoms versus the origin of distress, that in and of itself actually alleviates your mood. It really does. So I think sometimes that is actually enough to kind of elicit a little bit of like hope or tolerance or peace. You know, this is why people are so in love with meditation because it's not about changing anything. It's just about being present in everything.
Is it like a recentering?
It's really about being present with whatever is. People think meditation don't work because they're like, I can't make my brain go blank. That's not the goal.
Right.
The goal is to really learn how to tolerate and just sit in what is.
And it ain't easy. It ain't easy all the time. Like to do that. But I think it is a necessary practice. And for the super religious folks out there, because some of them think like meditation, I'm just going to pray. Like, no. You can pray and you can meditate.
Yeah.
I say it all the time. I say my prayer is my ask to the higher power. And meditation is my time to sit and listen for the answer.
That's what's up.
Right. So it's not oh my goodness, they don't talk about this in my religion, so I ain't doing no meditation. Or they think Buddha, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's not all that. Hindu, like, no. Just, it's allowing you to really sit and be present. And I'll tell you, like, I've had, like, some people think you only can sit in silence, but sometimes my meditation is just going and just shooting with some music, shooting basketball with some music, or just walking with, music on by myself, or ride in the car, no music, just ride, right?
Yeah.
So there's different types of ways to meditate, and I think some people just think of the television. It's not just that.
There's a lot of different forms of meditation. Yeah. And then you can, to your point, you can integrate it in your life, like what your habits are, your life is. The other thing is, the other thing I also tell people that are new to this kind of way of living, of health orienting habits, is like, it's hard when you're new. It's hard to really meditate for 5 minutes. A lot of people think, just do it for 3 minutes, just do it for 5 minutes. You ain't gonna be able to do that.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Well, this is the thing. I coach people and I say, if you're really gonna try this practice or to get acquainted with it, to have a good test run, you meditate in the beginning for an hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours. Because the first times,
for 2 hours,
an hour and a half. And the reason I say this is because the first 45 minutes, you're gonna be making your grocery list. You're gonna be stressed. You're not gonna be able to center.
Right.
When you're not familiar with the practice of meditation, you can't quote unquote do it well, because you're gonna, especially if you're highly anxious, you're gonna sit there, and for the 5 minutes that the clock is going, you're gonna be like, am I doing it? Wait, am I quiet? Wait, what's the clock? What's happening? What's happening? And then the timer goes off and you're like, I can't do it. You didn't give yourself enough time to settle in.
I got you.
You have to really get acquainted.
I got you.
It's like when you're riding a bike for the first time, you don't get on the bike and you're riding. You fall down, you ride, you go a little longer, you fall down, you go a little longer, you fall down. Yeah. So you got to put in a little bit more time to get acquainted with the practice.
I got you.
So you can struggle through.
I like that. So I got to ask, because I know we've been talking a lot about health and wellness. Like, what are your takeaways for today? Like, do you have a takeaway, one major one? Do you have a couple?
I don't don't know if this is a takeaway as much as something I really has been on my spirit. And I really want to say this. I was telling you this before we recorded. I really want to dedicate the episode to mental health providers.
Oh, yeah.
Mental health professionals, mental health providers, therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists,
School counselors,
licensed professional counselors, any mental health, social workers, any kind of mental health professional. I want to dedicate to them because hell of a ride. I think one of the things that we're really doing is trying to amplify our humanity as educators, as like mental health providers, not be overly academic and be like, we're human beings too. We're navigating hard things too. And one of the things I love about my clientele, I genuinely love my clients and I really respect them and I care about them. And they recognize that healing and liberation is communal. And so they have a lot of patience with me. And I think the culture around mental health is kind of like, if you're struggling, call a mental health provider. They'll fix it. And then people call and it's like, it's a 2-week wait list or I'm full or forgive me, I didn't call you back in 2 hours. And it's like, they're not helpful. We're navigating the same stuff you're navigating. Sure. We're navigating deaths. We're navigating the COVID. We're going through COVID too. We're going through, the economics too. You're going through one of the most significant economic issues of our time, and then you don't pay your bill. Guess what? I'm going through the economic downturn too. I need you to pay your bill. So I just want to shout out the mental health providers and remind everyone that we're human beings as well. And that doesn't mean you can't ask for our help, but it means that a part of the therapeutic experience is learning how to navigate care reciprocally.
Yeah.
Like in a reciprocal fashion.
Absolutely.
That's a more appropriate word. So I think that is how I want to close for me.
Okay. And I'll just say, I think my takeaway is just everybody's dealing with something, right? And I can't say it enough. All of us are recovering from our childhood, but I think more importantly, part of what we need to recover from our childhood is the ability to ask for help, right? We can't do it all on our own. And a lot of times you do need a professional to help you get through this. And so I just want to encourage anybody dealing with anything is to seek help, right? If you need a therapist, go get a therapist. And once again, like I shared, I think in the last episode maybe, but I wrote an ebook about it, how to find a therapist. Because a lot of people feel like they don't know how to find one. Where do I do it? But make sure you check out the book, How to Find a Therapist, at purposeoverdreams.com. But go get the help that you need, right? And if you feel like you don't know what to do, send us a DM and we'll guide you, right? Help you to get the help that you need. Not saying it's going to be us, right? But we're very resourceful and we have a nice network to help folks out. So that's my takeaway for today. And
because this is the episode that we're doing, I do want to throw this in there. We do have the resources that we do have we want to extend to the public. So you have at Purpose Over Dreams, you have the ebook to support people, the Diane Morgan Group. 2024, we're bringing a whole Liberated Me campaign that includes like web-based kind of discussion groups and workshops and things of that nature. And there are licensing restrictions and some ethical restrictions that I have to keep in mind as far as like formal therapy clients, but we do have other resources. And so in the bio, you can go to our link tree. You'll see some of the resources that are available to the public that we do offer and the things that we can kind of help direct and guide your path to. Get your healing. If anybody deserves it, it's you. Like there's this old school idea that Black people, people of color, Latinx people, men don't go to therapy. Only crazy people go to therapy. That's just not true. If anybody deserves support and community to heal and to live whole and to live liberated, quite frankly, it's me. And you. Why not?
So let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. So
with that said, y'all, I'm Dr. Joe.
I'm Dr. Brandy.
And you've just been taken for a hell of a ride. Take care.